I wanted to ask you, how and when did you start using the LinkedIn platform for your business, and what prompted your decision to transition onto that platform?
Okay, so LinkedIn I think started in 2003, and that particular time I had a job and a career in banking, so I didn't need the platform at that particular point. But in 2011 I got made redundant, and everything changed. And the thing about them was that LinkedIn has about 100 million users on LinkedIn, and it became crucial to the way that you started to think about marketing yourself for a career, for jobs, and up until that point I'd had no sort of prior experience with any form of representation. But after realising and recognising I didn't want to go back into a career, it became blatantly obvious to me that LinkedIn, the power of it was in terms of how you could create a representation of yourself and enhance your values, your skills, and promote yourself and your brand in that particular process.
When did you start noticing growth upon joining the LinkedIn platform, and how substantial was that growth?
Okay, so initially when you start putting together your profile, your platform, and organically grow your audience, there's a lot of inertia, there's a lot of fumbling around, a lot of not knowing where to go and what to do. I don't quite remember when it was, but I remember that it was a slow process, and you get to about 500 and then things start to change within the dynamics of the platform. And you start to get more growth, you start to get more engagement, but it is hard work because you have to have a process of reaching out. Well, the bottom line of it is getting found, getting noticed is all about positioning yourself into that right space. And in a way, back then it was easier. Now it's more challenging even still, because even though the numbers are bigger and therefore you would expect the growth in your followers and the dynamics of your connections would change with that, it's still you're competing against a much, much bigger audience to get found. So LinkedIn has become quite noisy and quite polluted. So you have to remain very diligent about what it is that you're putting out there and the relevance of that to your audience. The other dynamic that changed in LinkedIn was a switch from making connections to followers. And if you are wanting to position yourself as a thought leader within the world of anything, but if you want to position yourself as a thought leader, then you need followers, which is a one-way dynamic. People who are listening to you as opposed to you seeking out connections, which is a two-way street. So the follower switch in LinkedIn was a big, big change to the way that your community starts to engage with you and starts to grow.
Did you feel there was a tangible difference towards your approach to networking after joining LinkedIn, both in an online capacity but also in a face-to-face capacity?
Yeah, very much. It wasn't just LinkedIn, it was just about generally being aware that there are two dynamics at play. We have strong ties and we have weak ties. And you need both of those relationships to actually start to grow a network effectively. So LinkedIn has the capacity to do both. It has the capacity to strengthen those strong ties through reciprocity, through reaching out, through giving, and gaining referrals and areas. The weak tie side of it are those relationships which may be far less significant, but they allow for growth in the network. They allow for the voice, your narrative, your what you want to talk about to actually reach that wider audience. So it has had a significant impact in terms of the way we network and how we follow up with people, particularly from face-to-face networking into that virtual space.
There is often some trepidation or fear in using social media platforms to advertise their business or networking due to a fear of receiving an inadequate amount of likes or follows. What would you suggest towards young entrepreneurs who might have those fears?
Okay, the first thing I would say to any entrepreneur, young, old, whatever, don't advertise yourself like that. Don't advertise your business in the sense of promoting it from the point of view of first kind of like representation. The whole process within that LinkedIn environment is network, is building relationships, is giving before receiving. It's putting ourselves into that framework and helping others to be able to actually raise the profile and the visibility of ourselves. Equally, there's a paradox there. If we get low likes on a particular post or a particular article, that means nobody's seen it. So why get worried and paranoid about that? The bottom line of it is you've got to keep putting stuff into the space to understand what resonates with your audience. I've had posts that have gained no likes, no interaction, no nothing. What have I learned from that? Probably learnt that it's probably missed its target, it's not found that space. I've had other posts which have gone exceptionally well and raised the visibility both of myself and also my business. But be clear that LinkedIn is not a space to advertise. LinkedIn is a space to absolutely support and educate other people into what that area of work that you are actually working in and delivering.
Could you please give us a bit of a rundown about your how-to talk and what it's going to entail, and why you think that students should come to your how-to talk?
Okay, so the how-to talk is going to cover how we build a strategy to connect, refer, and build value into our business through the platform of LinkedIn. We're an advocate for LinkedIn. We understand its value when it comes to B2B. But when people get involved with it, it's not a shotgun approach. You have to have a strategy. You have to have a clear objective about where you want the return of your time and energy to come back in. So I think it's important that there is two areas to this, one of which is your personal brand, how you develop that, which is part of the how-to talk. And then the other side of it is where the business page exists and sits alongside that. So the two are slightly different in the way that we engage with them. One of which is the personal space is about validation and authority, which is you, because you are the embodiment of the brand. And the business space is very much about what the business is about, how the business is conducting itself, its values, its audience, the content that it wants to disseminate, the sharing of that particular process. So that's, again, part of the overall strategy that we're going to be looking at when it comes to building our referral networks and the networks within LinkedIn.